where it kind of seems patchy. I cannot lie, like right here. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a first impression slash demo of the new Nars foundation, the soft matte foundation, and I'm really excited to show you guys how this worked for me. Surprisingly enough, I don't think you guys are gonna expect what I'm gonna say, because you guys know I love Nars foundations. Like their complexion products are just it for me. So I think you're gonna be a little surprised about my response about this foundation, but if you guys wanna know what I think about this face, what I went through with this foundation, and really just see me apply it and kind of my thoughts and all that good stuff, then keep on watching. I have my brows and my lashes done. I'm doing like a super simple eye makeup because the focus is the review of this foundation. So we're just gonna get into skin. Now, before I begin applying the foundation for you guys, I wanna let you know how I'm going to do this is basically I'm going to use products that I know work for me. I don't want to basically switch up my routine to cater to the foundation. I want to make sure that the foundation works with products that I use on a daily basis, because this would be something I want to use on a daily basis if I love it. I know people have their own standard and ways of reviewing things, but this is how I'm going to do it, especially when it comes to skin, because girl, at the end of the day, I'm going to be wearing concealer, I'm going to be using powders, I'm going to be using this, that, and the third. So it needs to work with the foundation that I'm using. With all that being said, let's just get into complexion. So yeah, this is going to be another complexion video. I'm going to go ahead and use my Laura Mercier Blurring Canvas Primer. I know that this is kind of new to you guys, seeing me use this. I used it in my last video, I believe, but I'm letting you guys know that I have used this many times. You can check in like my older IGTVs if you follow me on Instagram. Love this, it works for me. And yeah, so I finally dug it out of my makeup stuff and I wanted to use it. So this is what I'm gonna use because I know it works. You guys know sometimes I like to put foundation just in areas that I need it, and I just do highlight, contour, woo woo woo. I'm going to do this the old school way, apply the foundation all over my face, do my concealer, cream, and all that stuff, because I feel like then I'll get a better judgment of how it works on my face, because I can put it right here and it may be fine, but what about my T-zone? You know what I mean? Moving on to the star of the show, the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer Foundation. This is the shade Syracuse. I'm going to be using this all over my face. Let's go ahead and look up the claims real quick before we get started, just because I kind of want to know what to expect from the claims that they are giving, and I want to know if they're true to what they say. This is a full coverage matte foundation, kind of obvious. It's supposed to be 16-hour oxidation resistant foundation that balances oil while maintaining a hydrated skin-like finish. It protects from pollution and blue light, and some of the key ingredients that they highlighted was hyaluronic acid and microalgae. And it says that it helps absorb excess sebum, which is the oil. Yeah, and I guess it's supposed to be good for normal, dry, combination oily skin. So it's supposed to be good for everybody, but it is a matte finish. So anyway, I'm gonna open it. I have the color Syracuse. I'm gonna let you guys know now. It may be a hint darker than my face, but I think it'll match my body. So if you guys are like, girl, what shade? Yeah, babe, all my other Nars complexion products that I'm using right now, as far as foundation, Syracuse. So I just got Syracuse. Another thing is I have hyperpigmentation, as you guys can see. So I am hoping that because they claim to be full coverage, that this is going to do a good job of concealing the mess that's on my face. So I'm not going to try to color correct, spot conceal, any of that. I'm just going to let the foundation do what's supposed to do. I may color correct under my eyes because I never put foundation under my eyes. This is not gonna happen. But as far as my hyperpigmentation, we're gonna leave her alone, let her do what it do. You guys are gonna see. So let's just start. I think I'm just gonna apply it like this. No, I'm just gonna apply it on my back of my hand because I really don't know how this is gonna work out. And dang, I be forgetting to bring clips because I got the bang now. So let's just hope I don't get it in my hair. Anyway, I'm going to apply some, boom. I think I might have poured a little bit much, but it's all right. And like I said, guys, it's gonna look a little darker on my face, I think, but no worries. So to blend, I'm gonna actually use a brush. This is just how I'm going to do it because I typically use a brush anyway. I'm using my Charlotte Tilbury brush because, well, ma'am, it's clean. There's no other product, and I like it because it is kind of small, so I can get into little spaces without taking over my whole face. And again, I know it doesn't match my face. Just rock with me, okay? Just rock with me. Put some. So far, as I'm applying it, it really has this like liquid to powder texture in my opinion. Like as I'm blending it out, it doesn't feel wet. It feels like it's drying down like a powder. See if it does a good job covering my tattoo. Probably not because it's just so out there. One thing I am noticing too is it is drying down like a powder, but it's not drying down so bad to where like I put it all over my face. It's still blendable. Okay, so that was one layer. Did I not get this area? Okay, so far, I feel like I do have like the tiniest bit of like dry patches like right here and like on my nose. Nothing that like is a big deal. Like I could just take some tweezers, take that off. But I can only imagine if you have larger, you know, dry areas, how it's going to cling, because it is kind of clinging. I feel like it's kind of settling on my nose a little weird, but I kind of have that problem. I noticed like, cause I have larger pores on my nose. So I feel like with any foundation that I use, I kind of have to work it in a little bit more because of that. So I don't want to say it's the foundation's fault, but I am noticing that it's kind of settling. Like it's not settling in the way that I would like it to, but I feel like if I worked it in, it may adjust. But I have the same issue with some of my favorite foundations. It's really just my skin, not the foundation. To be honest, I'm like kind of not as wowed as I was hoping, only because I feel like I am seeing the foundation cling to areas like where it kind of seems patchy. I cannot lie, like right here, this whole area seems really patchy to me. And I don't know if it's because of texture or something on my skin, but it's not, I don't feel like it's sitting on my skin as flawlessly as it could. And again, I'm still seeing some of my hyperpigmentation come through. Now, again, this is one layer, but ideally, if I bought a full coverage foundation, I'm expecting full coverage. So I'm expecting things like this to be covered in one layer, to be honest with you, because that's what it says, full coverage. Now, if I have to build it up, then it needs to be medium to full coverage, you know what I mean? So to me, this doesn't seem full coverage. I think the Huda Beauty one was more full coverage than this. It's matte. I don't know if it's my skin, but this area is bothering me. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell. I don't know. Okay, so let's just try another layer because it may just be one of those full coverage, but you need to build it up. And I'm actually gonna go into a different brush this time. To be honest, I should have just started with this brush because this is my all-time favorite foundation brush, and it's from BH Cosmetics. And honestly, if this brush can't do it, then I mean a sponge may be better, but at the same time, I am doing my routine that I typically do. I don't want to like switch up my routine just to like make it work. I want to know if it's going to work with my routine, and if I have to do things different to make it work, then I will, but I want to know if it's going to work with what I'm doing. Opinion, I think a second layer kind of helped a lot, kind of disguise that patchiness. So I don't know if you know, I just wasn't evenly distributed. Maybe the way I applied it just kind of made it look patchy, but once I added another layer to even it out, it looks better in my opinion. Now moving on to concealer, I want to see how she plays with the other girls. So we're going to be using my e.l.f. concealer. This is one of my favorite concealers. I think I've talked about this many times. Absolutely love it. It's the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and this is in the shade Light Beige. This is just, I know it works. It works with everything I use, so babe, if it doesn't work today, it's the foundation, okay? So we're just gonna start applying. And I just realized I didn't color correct under my eyes, but that is okay. No biggie. Now this is not so much, I would say, like a luminous concealer. I think it does a good job of hydrating the skin, but it's more of like a satin finish. So you're not gonna get like luminous, but you're not getting super matte either. You're kind of getting a little both. Go ahead and blend the concealer out. I'm gonna be using a sponge. I've been kind of liking that lately, and it's going to be dry because that's what I do, girl, dry sponges. All right, so I think my concealer did a good job of blending out. It's sitting nicely on top of the foundation, so the concealer just seems good to me. This crossed my mind as I was blending. I really could have used my soft matte concealer, but to be honest with you guys, if I had to choose, this is a great concealer, but if I had to choose, I would pick the e.l.f. one over the Nars one just because it's just, it's matte, it's great, but this, I just like that it's a little bit more hydrating. It's a little bit more liquidy, it blends out. It's just a little better in my opinion. Let's move on to cream contour, and I'm gonna go ahead and use something that I use all the time, Vanity Makeup Sculpting Palette. You guys have seen this too many times. So if this product doesn't work, I'm going to assume it's the foundation because it works very well with everything else I've ever used. So far, it's not bad. I'm doing a little light sculpt, but it's not picking up the foundation. That's one thing I have a really hard time with certain contour products. Like for example, the Fenty matchsticks, the contour ones, I will never use them. I've tried to use them 2 or 3 times. They do not work for me. They always pick up my foundation. It's just, they're too drying. Girl, this doesn't work for me, but this is a really good creamy product and it's laying on the foundation really nice. I shouldn't go into my Fenty cream bronzer. I typically do the bronzer first, then the contour, but I kind of didn't think to use that, but I'm gonna go ahead and use that because this is tried and true as well. And I kind of want to add a little bit more warmth because my contour is very like cool toned, as you can tell. So let's bring back some saturation in our skin. And this is the shade Honey Glaze. And you guys know that I absolutely love this product. And it's worked for me with everything that I've used. Like, it's phenomenal to me. So again, if I have issues with this product, with this foundation, I am blaming the foundation. Okay, so I don't know, now that I'm looking more at my skin, I don't know if it, okay. I don't know guys, I'm not sure. I feel like my contour left like a weird patchy look. I'm not really sure. So let's go back in and see if we can fix that just by adding a little bit more product. I don't know. Like, to me, it just felt like it like added a weird demarcation, like a line. I don't know, to be honest with you guys. I feel like, I don't know if you could tell, but I feel like it's leaving a line. Like, I don't know if you could see it. I just feel like there's like a really visible, just like gray line, and then there's just blended out product. And I'm using the tools, the same things that I really like to use. So I don't know if it's just not sitting well. Now I'm gonna move on to cream blush because I typically like to use cream blush. And I'm gonna be using the shade Bikini Martini. I really enjoy the shade, so let me find a brush I can use. And I'm just going to start pressing her where I typically would wear a blush. see. I think what I'm noticing throughout these steps that I'm taking for my complexion is that I feel like this foundation kind of accentuated a little texture that I have on my skin. So I have texture here, and for some reason, I don't know the formula or whatever, I think it kind of, you know, amplified it a little bit. So when I am using the rest of the products that I like to use, I can just notice I just notice the texture a little bit more than I would with maybe some of my other fave foundations. So I think that's what I'm noticing. That's what I'm picking up on. I think it's just catching on to texture a little bit more than usual, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if I didn't have the texture, maybe it would work better for me. So it's kind of one of those things where it is what it is. I have texture on my skin and everyone does. You can't really, it is what it is. It just happens. So, you know, just gotta move on. I'm gonna move on and set, and I'm gonna use my powder, my little mix of powders that I like to use. You guys know this is super OG for me. And that's what I'm gonna use to set my face, okay? I'm not gonna try much of anything else as far as powder. I'm just gonna use this. Sometimes foundation really does need to like be set with a powder to really just be flawless, and you know what I mean? And so I'm gonna go ahead and set my face, but I'm also going to do my light bake that I typically do, doing everything that I normally do, because this is what I would want to do if I were wearing this foundation, you know what I mean? I think using my powder kind of helped it a little bit as far as like dimming down the texture. And again, you know what, those Fenty products, the cream products, do have a shine to it, so they're a little bit more luminous, and maybe the shine added more to the texture. Typically that doesn't happen for me, but maybe the foundation just kind of clung, I don't know if that's a word, but clung, stuck to the texture, and then when you added a product that has sheen to it, the sheen was like, ooh, bam. You know what I mean? Like, you know how you add highlight right here, let's say you have a pimple or just a lot of bumps, the bumps are super noticeable. That's kind of where I'm getting at. Maybe the foundation kind of clung to the texture, and then when I added more of a creamy, luminous cream to my face, that sheen enhanced that texture. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now, because I just set it and it kind of reduced the shine, and then it kind of reduced the look of texture. So anyway, moving on with my light bake, as I like to call it. Go ahead and dust that off. I don't really typically let my bake sit for very long. My eyes are already done, and because I know this is matte, I really don't want to enhance the drying effect on my skin if I can help it. In person doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to stick with my theory. This, for some reason, is clinging on to some of the more textured areas of my face, and I can still see that. It just doesn't look as bad as it did at first, but in this area here, I don't know if you guys can even see it. Moving on to bronzer, I'm using my MAC bronzer. You guys know I love this. This is the Beijing Beauty bronzer, the Radiant Matte Bronzing Powder, and I love it. So hopefully this still works. Jeez. I'm gonna use my blush. This is the Laura Mercier Blush in Strawberry. You guys know these products. Let me just go ahead and say it for those who are new. Go ahead and apply her. Honestly, on camera it looks really good, and like from my mirror, which isn't too, it's like a hand distance, an arm distance away from me, it doesn't look bad. But you know, we're doing a review, so we gotta get up and close and personal. Oh, the blush is sitting beautifully. Everything is looking good. I just have a little bit of buildup right here and right here. That's it. Everything's actually looking really good. And for the sake of the video, you guys know I don't really do highlight anymore, so I'm just going to skip that part because it's really not necessary, and all it's gonna do is emphasize the texture that I know was there to begin with in this area. So I'm not gonna do that to myself, but I will set my face because my face is looking really, really matte, which I don't have a problem with, but just for the sake of the video, just to use products that I like to use, I'm gonna use something that I know works for me every time, which is my Fenty Beauty setting spray, and it's the What It Do setting spray. Okay, so here we are, skin. Okay, giving you guys angles. What do I notice? Honestly, my contour didn't really sit really well. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it doesn't look like, oddly, like there's a weird gray line right here. I don't know. That's something I noticed that I don't typically see when I do my makeup. And then right in this area, I have like, I feel like it just looks a little bumpy, like a little like, which it is. But typically when I do my makeup, it doesn't look as noticeable. So yeah. Okay, so I zoomed you guys out and then I put a little lip color on just to finish the look. But yeah, I kind of showed you guys the angles of my face when I was zoomed in and just kind of how it looks. On camera, I feel like it does look more flawless. I don't feel like you can see as much texture as I can in real life, but I mean, this is a camera lens and you know, it's not real life. You guys can't see me in person. But as far as what I'm seeing myself, I'm gonna rate this foundation 7, more maybe an 8 out of 10, and I'm gonna explain why. So as you guys seen in the application, when I applied it the first time, again, it's one of those things where I'm gonna keep using this to really figure out what this foundation is doing. But my first impression was when I was applying it, it kind of applied patchy. And then I did a second layer, which you guys seen, and it applied more evenly and it looked a little bit more full coverage, which is what I was looking for. So to me, I was like, okay, I have to do 2 layers instead of 1, whatever, moving on. And then when I was doing my cream contour and cream bronzer, I noticed that in my cheek areas, more of like the top part of my cheeks, that my contour and my bronzer or foundation, whatever, it was clinging to texture that's right here, and it kind of looks like buildup. It just looks a little bit more like cakier, and I don't know how to explain that. I could just, when I turn and look in the mirror right now, I see little tiny bumps that I have on my skin, you know what I mean? Like just texture that everyone has, but I feel like it's a little bit more amplified. So I'm kind of like, I don't typically notice that in my, you know, with my other foundations, and this is a routine that I would do naturally. And granted, recently I've been doing foundation in areas that I need it, but I'm gonna use this all over my face to make sure that it works all over my face. As I explained in the video, the foundation to me is clinging to texture. It's gonna cling to dryness. I even mentioned earlier in the video that I had the tiniest little patches of dryness, like I mean something like a little flake on my skin that was dry, and I noticed that it clinged to it, and I had to take my tweezers and kind of pull the flake off so it wasn't there. In my opinion, I think because this is a matte foundation, that typically happens to people, especially if you have texture, especially if you have dryness. Matte tends to cling to those things and kind of just hug on those. Here's the thing though, I could try it with a wet beauty blender and it may blend out perfectly. I could try it with a different type of brush. I can, you know what I mean? There's different ways where I can maneuver and make it work, but the whole review for me was to do it how I do it. Use this how I use any other foundation that I really, really love, and do what I'm usually doing. And if I can't do what I'm usually doing, then I know that I have to try something different. And if I try different things and they're not working, then I just know this foundation just isn't for me. I am absolutely happy with the finish of it. I mean, it looks really beautiful on camera. I am not opposed to it at all. I just think if you do have texture, just be aware. Maybe try something that's a little bit more moisturizing, maybe something that's a little bit more hydrating. That way your skin is a little bit more supple when you apply this. I used a blurring primer from Laura Mercier, so it's more of a more of a mattifying type of primer. So again, it could have just been the products that I'm using, but these are things that I love and work with other foundations and other products that I like to use anyway. So that was my thing. I wanted to incorporate it into the routine that I already have. But with that being said, I think a 7 or 8. I'm definitely gonna try this again, and I'm gonna kind of adjust my routine, maybe use something that's a little bit more moisturizing for a primer. make sure I maybe exfoliate before I use it. But other than that, it's not bad at all. I mean, in real life, if you came up to me, you'd be like, girl, you look good. It's just me examining my face and staring like super close to notice that it's kind of clean in certain areas. But in real life, nobody's that close to you. And honestly, they shouldn't be anyway. So it's not bad at all. I mean, I do not regret buying it, okay? I don't regret it. I think it looks good. Yeah, I mean, other than those few little things that honestly I don't think is that big of a deal, I actually love how it looks. I hope you guys do too. If you guys like this review slash demo of the foundation, give me a thumbs up. Of course, comment down what you guys think. Have you guys used it? What do you guys think? Do you have tips and tricks for those who have texture? Because your girl got a lot of it. One thing I do want to say though is I didn't have to use color corrector after the second layer. I mean, my skin looks pretty flawless, don't you think? So that was kind of nice. But yeah, comment down below, have you used it yet? And what do you use to make it look flawless? Do you use a sponge? Do you use a brush? Like, what is your way of using this foundation that works for you? Let me know so I can try it out myself. That's really it for today's video. Of course, subscribe because, girl, I did not make this video for the ceiling. I made it for you. So go ahead and subscribe so you can see more of my videos. And of course, watch some more of my videos after this one. And yeah, I think it looks good. I'm about to take my thumbnail. You guys know how it is. I always end my videos telling you about to take pictures, but low-key, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna take my thumbnail, take my little self to bed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.